Today I'm going to show you how to create tones with your Rocksmith CDLC files. I'm going to show you how to create tones from scratch, how to create multiple tones for a single track, and how to steal tones from another CLDC. First, let's start off with using Tone Designer inside Rocksmith itself. If you're experienced with using pedals and amps, you may already have an idea of what settings to use to make a good sounding tone. If you're like me and are new to creating tones, you're going to have a pretty hard time first starting off. Here's an important note. You don't want to use bass pedals or bass cabinets on your guitar tone or vice versa. It will kill your tones in-game and might require you to restart Rocksmith to make your own tones normal again. This happens a lot with CDLCs that are made on Customs Forge. A guitar player will make an amazing distortion sound for guitar and they will put the same tone on bass. Do not do this. It will make your tone on bass sound like shit and it will kill your tones. What I'm doing right now is just messing around with Tone Designer, attempting to come up with a decent bass distortion. Once you find a tone you like, you're going to take a screenshot of all your settings. This will help with putting all the settings in manually. Now that we got all our screenshots saved, we can open up the Rocksmith toolkit and put a tone to our track that we've already created in the previous video. Let's select our bass track and make sure that the tuning is the exact same as when we created our tone. So if we created a tone in E standard, make sure that the track is also E standard. If the track is dropped D, it might affect the tone, so you might need to redo your tone inside Tone Designer. So click on Add next to the tones to start a new tone. Under the tone information, rename your tone and change the tone type to something that will help you remember what it's for. In my experience, messing with the volume of the tone is just a bad time all around. I don't recommend messing with it, but if you want your guitar or bass to be louder or quieter, that's where you change it. Let's put in the settings for our first pedal. Pull up your first screenshot. Once that's up, click on the drop down arrow of your pre-pedal and select the proper pedal from the list. I have chosen pedals and amps from both guitar and bass just to show you that it can be done. But when creating your own tone, use only bass pedals for bass and guitar pedals for guitar. Next to the drop down arrow, you will see a square with 3 dots. Click on that to start changing the settings of the pedal. We're going to match up the numbers in the toolkit with the numbers on our screenshot. Make sure the gain is the same and make sure the tone is the same. Pull up your second screenshot and let's change the settings for the amp. Again, make sure all the settings are exactly the same. Sometimes you'll run into a problem with the toolkit. Some settings can't go as high as the settings you originally put into the Tone Designer. It's rare, but it does happen. If this happens, you're going to have to take a guess with the toolkit. Try the tone in-game, and if it sounds good, then leave it. If not, then you know that's the one you have to change. Continue to do this with all your other screenshots. After you have done that, click on Save Tone. Name it whatever you want and hit Save. It'll tell you that you saved the tone. Click OK and then click OK in the other open window. Now it will show your tone in the list of tones. Now you can apply that tone to your bass track. Highlight your bass track and click on Edit. Under Tone Selector next to Bass, it says Default. Change that to your newly created tone and then click OK. Now next to your bass track, it now says the tuning and the tone that is applied to it. Now if all your other settings are input, you can hit Generate and it'll create your CDLC with the custom tone. So let's add a tone change in the middle of a track. Let's say your track starts out with a clean tone, then it goes to a distortion tone. This is done when creating the track in Editor on Fire. Scroll to the part of the song where the distortion starts, then click on Track, then Rocksmith, then Tone Change, and then Add, or hit Ctrl-Shift-T. And name it exactly the same as what you're going to name the tone in the toolkit. Now let's click Save. We'll get a warning telling us that we need to set a default tone now. So hit Yes to cancel the save and set a default tone. So we've only put in one tone right now, but we want to start off with a clean tone. So let's scroll to the beginning of the song and put a tone in to start with. It can be at the very beginning of the song or a few seconds in before the song starts, it doesn't really matter. Hit Ctrl-Shift-T again and then name the tone, then hit Save again. It will warn you that you have no default tone again. Click Yes to cancel save and update the default tone. Now you can set your clean tone as your default tone. You can do this multiple times in a song if you need to. So if you go from clean to distortion, to to clean to distortion, you could do that. Alright, so let's open the toolkit again. We're going to open our newly saved track. You'll notice under the tone selector that there will be multiple tones now. You can click OK and then you can create your tones like in the previous steps. Alright, stealing tones from other CDLCs is a very easy way to get tones into your CDLC, and probably one of the easiest ways. Before you put tone markers into your editor on Fire, you need to import the tones into your toolkit so you can figure out what to name your tones. Click on Import on the toolkit and select a song that has a fairly close tone to what you're looking for. Wait for it to load, then select the tones from the list and hit OK. It will take the tones from the CDLC and put them directly into your toolkit for you. Take note of the names, as you'll be naming your tone markers inside Editor on Fire to those names. You can change the names first if you like, it might make it easier. I hope this answers some of your questions on creating tones for your CDLCs. I'm not very good at this commentary thing. This is the first one I've done, so I hope I didn't do too bad of a job. If you have any questions, leave me a comment and I'll be sure to answer them.